You're a fool and a weakling, nephew. Do you think any man would have ever dared speak so to your father? You have a dragon. Use him. Fly to Old Town and make this starry sept another Harrenhal, or give me leave. Let me roast this pious fool for you. Visenya to Rhaenys Targaryen, fire and blood, the sons of the dragon. As it is well known to anyone who spent any time studying the lives of the three conquerors of Westeros, Queens Visenya and Rhaenys both had a huge impact in the melding together of this new 7 kingdoms. While Rhaenys took to bettering the lives of women and children and making marriage pacts, Queen Visenya used her power and influence in a very different way than her sister. She was given the same power and freedom by Aegon as her younger sister Rhaenys, but the way Visenya would wield that power, the manner in which she did so, does highlight how different Aegon's 2 queens really were. For example, Visenya did not share Rhaenys' love of music and song. In fact, she saw the gifts of gold and patronages Rhaenys gave bards and singers frivolous and a waste of money. But Visenya did still have a sense of humour, albeit much darker than her siblings. For many years she kept her own fool, a hunchback she called Lord Monkeyface, whose antics amused her greatly. When he suddenly choked to death on a peach pit, the queen acquired an ape and dressed it in Lord Monkeyface's clothing. The new one is cleverer, she was wont to say. Even so, there was still this underlying darkness in Visenya Targaryen. To most, especially those who did not know her, she presented this grim and hard face of a warrior, stern, hard, and most of all, unforgiving. She was not a traditional beauty like her sister, but she still had a beauty of her own. It is said it had an edge to it. She too did possess the traditional Targaryen features of silver gold hair and violet eyes that made her otherworldly. She was the eldest of the 3 heads of the dragon, and had always been protective of her younger siblings, even Aegon himself. Ironically, however, she would outlive both of them. But this darkness also manifested a dark reputation in turn that would follow Visenya her whole life, especially as she got older. It is said that when she could no longer wield a sword in her later years, she became a user of the dark art of magic and poisons. Some even suggested she could have even been a kinslayer and a kingslayer, though no proof has ever been offered to support these claims. Your guards are slow and lazy, Visenya Targaryen to King Aegon after cutting his cheek to prove a point. The world of ice and fire, the Targaryen kings, Aegon. The idea of Visenya being a kinslayer or even a kingslayer would be a cruel irony if true, which is why many do not believe most of the more sinister versions of the tales. In her youth, no one did more to protect the king than Visenya. She twice wielded Dark Sister in Aegon's defence when he was set upon by Dornish cutthroats during the First Dornish War. Aegon very well could have died if not for Visenya's intervention. Suspicious, ferocious by nature, she trusted no one but her brother and sister, even those few she would call a friend. During the Dornish Wars, she took to wearing a shirt of mail at night and sleeping with a dagger under her pillow. Even under her court clothes, she was fully armoured and urged the king to do the same. When Aegon refused, Visenya grew furious. Even with black fire in your hand, you are only one man, she told him, and I cannot always be with you. When the king pointed out that he had guardsmen all around him, Visenya drew Dark Sister and slashed him across the cheek so quickly the guards had no time to react. Some reportedly didn't even notice. Your guards are slow and lazy, she said. I could have killed you as easily as I cut you. You require better protection. King Aegon, bleeding, had no choice but to agree. Many kings had champions to defend them, even during the age of the many petty kingdoms of Westeros, prior to the Targaryen conquest. Aegon was the king of 7 kingdoms, more than just a normal king. Therefore, she reasoned he should have 7 champions. Thus did the Kingsguard come into being, a brotherhood of 7 knights, the finest in the realm, cloaked and armoured, all in the purest white, with no other purpose but to defend the king, giving up their own lives for his if need be. Visenya modelled their vows on that of the Night's Watch. Like the black-cloaked crows of the wall, the white swords would serve for life, surrendering all lands, titles and worldly goods, to live a life of chastity and obedience, with no reward but honour. Old Nan said they were the finest swords in all the realm. There were only 7 of them, and they wore white armour and had no wives or children, but lived only to serve the king. Bran knew all their stories. Their names were like music to him. Bran Stark's Thoughts, A Game of Thrones Chapter 8, Bran 2. So many knights came forward to offer themselves as candidates for this first Kingsguard that King Aegon considered holding a great tourney to determine which of them would be the most worthy. But Visenya would not hear of it. To be a Kingsguard knight required more than just simple skill at arms, she pointed out. She would not risk placing men of uncertain loyalty about the king, regardless of how well they performed in a melee. She would choose each of the knights herself. The champions she selected were young and old, tall and short, dark and fair. They came from every corner of the realm. Some were younger sons of lords with little to inherit, others the heirs of ancient houses who would give up their inheritance to serve the king. One was even a hedge knight, another bastard born. All of them were quick, strong, obedient, skilled with a sword and shield, and devoted to King Aegon. These are the names of Aegon 7, as written in the White Book of the Kingsguard. Sir Richard Root, Sir Addison Hill, bastard of Cornfield, Sir Gregor Good, Sir Griffin Good, his brother, Sir Humphrey the Mummer, and Sir Robin Darkland, called Dark Robin, and Sir Corlys Velaryon, the Lord Commander. History has confirmed that Visenya Targaryen chose these men well. They worked so well, this concept of the Kingsguard has carried on for generations. 2 of her original 7 choices would die protecting the king, and all would serve with valour to the end of their lives. Many brave men have followed in their footsteps since, writing their names in the White Book and donning the white cloak. The Kingsguard now remains synonymous for honour to this day. 16 Targaryens followed Aegon the Conqueror on the Iron Throne, before the dynasty was at last toppled in Robert's Rebellion. They numbered amongst them wise men and foolish, cruel men and kind, good men and evil. If the Targaryen kings are considered solely on the basis of their legacies, the laws and institutions and improvements they left behind, the name of King Aegon I, Aegon the Dragon, Aegon the Conqueror, and his sisters belongs at the top of that list.